Hey YouTube, in this video I'm going to walk you through how to download, install, and update Ubuntu, and we're going to install Steam and play a few games. So stick around.
This is the part where you fall down and bleed to death!
Alright, so the first thing we need to do is actually get Ubuntu downloaded onto our computer. So what we need to do is, if you don't have a computer that's working, I guess you're going to have to go to the library or ask a friend. But to get Ubuntu, we need to open a web browser. I'm using Google Chrome. You can use whatever you want. Just go ahead and type in your search bar Ubuntu. And we want to go to download Ubuntu desktop, which it should probably look something like this. Go ahead and select accept all if you're okay with cookies. Otherwise, you can manage the cookies that are going to be stored on your browser. And there's two different versions that we can see here. So there's Ubuntu 25.04 and there's Ubuntu 24.04.3. So what's the difference between these two? You may be asking. The LTS means that it's long-term support, and you can see that right here. So LTS, long-term support. So this version of Ubuntu will get security updates for 5 years, and you can see that right here. This one down here, not so much. So what we're going to do is just go ahead and click download. And you can sign up for their newsletter if you want. Otherwise, it should just pop up in your downloads folder. If you don't have the pop-up, I will show you over here in a different window. So for instance, over here with like Microsoft Edge, it might just download up in the corner, up here like this. So just kind of depends on which web browser you're using. Have no fear though, as long as you get it downloaded, that's all we need. Right, next up we need to download a program called Rufus. I actually already have it downloaded here on my system, but I'm going to show you guys how to do it. So if we go up here to our search bar and we just type in Rufus, and then it should be the first thing that pops up. There's going to be a whole bunch of stuff on the screen. Ignore all this off to the side, all this over here, and all this down here. Just scroll down. You're probably just going to want the first link right here, which is Rufus version 4.11.exe. That's the standard one. That's what we're going to use. So we're going to go ahead and click to download it. This is going to pop up. Do not click this. This is an ad. Click the X. And then it should allow your application to download into your downloads folder. So I'm just going to go ahead and click save. And then it will be similar over on, say, Microsoft Edge if we're using that. And I will show that again here in just a second. Before we go too far over here, if you're using Microsoft Edge for some reason, it is slightly different. So your first result is Rufus, but it takes you to an old repository, which you could, I suppose, technically use this, but I'm going to suggest avoiding this. And I want you to go down to this next one right here. So I will put up on the screen here in just a second, if not already, the actual URL if you're worried about getting to the wrong spot. But it should take you to a web page that looks like this. Once again, scroll down, click your latest Rufus standard for Windows x64, and then there's going to be an ad that pops up. Do not click download. This is an ad, as you can see right up here. It says ad. Just click the X, and then it's going to download up here into your downloads folder. Okay, so now that we have Rufus and Ubuntu into our downloads folder, we need to first install Rufus onto our computer. Even though I already have it on my computer down here, we're just going to go ahead and run through how to do it again for anyone that might not know. Go ahead and click on Rufus. It's going to pull up something that looks like this. I'm going to have to just impose this on the screen because I don't think the screen capture will get it. We're going to push yes. And then I have dark mode on, so mine looks a little bit different, but it should look similar to this. So next up, we also need to make sure we have a USB drive. Now, our USB drive that we're going to use doesn't really matter which size it is, as long as it's large enough for Ubuntu. So I don't even know what flash drives come in anymore these days. Like 32 gigabytes is more than enough. But whatever you have for a flash drive, whatever is on this before we go to put Ubuntu on there, it's going to get erased. So I would suggest having a separate flash drive just for this itself. So what we're going to do is we're going to plug our flash drive into the computer we're using to get Ubuntu downloaded. Okay, so now that we have our flash drive plugged in, for some reason my Rufus decided to change colors on us, but we should see our flash drive that's plugged in. My flash drive currently has Linux Mint on it, but most likely yours is going to say something along the lines of generic flash drive. So we want to make sure that the flash drive we're going to use is selected. If you have additional flash drives connected to your computer at this time, I would suggest taking them out or taking them off. Make sure to eject them. Next up, after we have our flash drive selected here under Device, we're going to go down here to the Boot selection. So this typically pulls up at disk or ISO image. That is what we want. So we have a disk or ISO. We're going to go over here to Select. And then wherever we downloaded our Ubuntu image to. So mine's in my downloads folder. I'm going to go ahead and select that, and then I'm going to push open. And then this all we can just leave how it is. Down here, this is optional if you want this to be named something else. I'm just going to go ahead and leave this named Ubuntu 24.04.3 LTS AMD 64. So you can change this to whatever you want. This is just going to be what your flash drive is called when you insert it into the computer that you're going to be using. What just happened? Why is this a thing? We're in the middle of doing a video, and someone apparently decided to subscribe on Twitch. We're not even live, so thanks to that individual, you will forever be remembered in this video. Okay, next up, we just need to go ahead and press Start. And then this is going to be like a warning message. I always keep it to write a ISO image, which is recommended. And then here's our warning. All data on this device will be deleted. Are you sure you want to proceed? Hopefully you do want to proceed. Remember, if there's something important on this flash drive, please swap it out. All right, so we're going to go ahead and push OK. And then if there's stuff already on this flash drive, it may take a while. It also, the first time that I did this for a Linux Mint install, it did also take some time. So what I'm going to do is just pause our camera, and we will come back to this later. Okay, I've come back to my computer now, and Rufus has completed this. That took about maybe 10 minutes for me, but it will depend on a couple of different factors, like if you have the flash drive plugged it directly into a USB 3, if it's a USB 3 flash drive, or if it's a USB 2. There's a couple different factors. All right, so we can go ahead. Now that this is it says ready, we can just go ahead and click close, and then you can see up here at the top, if you're worried about it not having put the disk image on there or Ubuntu on there, it now says Ubuntu 24.03, etc. versus before it said Linux Mint for us. So we can just go ahead and click close. And then we want to eject this. My head is naturally in the way, so let me move myself. Go up here just for a second. Come down here, and you should be able to eject your flash drive. Down here, I have a couple other drives in this that I don't want to eject, but luckily it's labeled, and we're just going to go ahead and click eject that. And then we will go ahead and move on to our next step, which is going to be over at our desktop that we're going to be installing Ubuntu on. Okay, so what we're going to do next is we're going to take our flash drive and we're going to insert it into a USB port on the computer that we're going to be putting Ubuntu on. We have two different, I guess, pathways we can take with this. If you have a computer that already has Windows or another operating system on this, you're most likely going to have to press F12 or delete as the computer begins to boot up. If this is a brand new build that doesn't have any operating system on it, it most likely should try to grab the USB to boot from, but you might also have to select that in a menu. And I'll show you that here in just a second on our test bench. Okay, so for this build here, or this computer here that we're using, I already have an operating system on it, so I'm smashing F12. You might have to check out what your user manual says to pull up the BIOS or the flash from, I don't know, you might have to consult that. So mine looks a little weird here. I don't know why the capture card is making this look janky as can be, but so up here, this is technically Linux Mint, but it does say Ubuntu, and it's on the SSD that we're doing. I'm actually just gonna pop down to where it says UEFI generic flash disk, and I'm gonna go ahead and press enter, and hopefully our colors will figure themselves out. Okay, so there's a couple different things we can do here on this screen. We have try or install Ubuntu, which is what we want to do. And then there's a couple other things we can choose from. Boot from the next volume, which would be if you needed to boot from your main drive if there's something still on there. We're just going to go ahead and press try or install Ubuntu. All right, so we've had a few seconds go by. Here we are at the Ubuntu boot menu. I left and came back, and it was up. So we have, we need to select our language. Obviously, I speak English, so I'm just going to go ahead and slam next. And then this is some customization that you can do with your build or your environment that you're setting up here. So it wants to know if you need help seeing. You can turn on high contrast, which I don't know, that really doesn't do much. Large text, pretty large, and so on and so forth. I don't need any of that. I'm just gonna go ahead and press next. And then my keyboard style is English US. And then our internet connection, you can choose what you want. You can even say you don't have internet, which is completely fine for any type of Linux operating system. I do have a wired connection though, so I'm just going to go ahead and press that for now because here in a little bit, we're going to be installing Steam and a couple other things on here. And then it's going to want to go ahead and update. We can skip this for now, or you can go ahead and update for now. We're going to go ahead and skip this for now, and we're actually going to double back to doing some updates later, so that hopefully everyone will understand how to update their system later on as months and years progress and you need some updates. So we're going to go ahead and just install Ubuntu. And then for those that are more advanced, they're probably not even watching this video, so I would avoid clicking the advanced install. We're just going to go ahead and do the default interactive installation. We're going to do default, and then this, I suggest clicking both of these, and I'll explain why. So if you don't click this download additional media formats, you might have issues watching certain things online. We had another computer that had a DVD drive that I didn't do this on, and we weren't able to watch certain DVDs because of copyright protection. I'm just going to go ahead and say yes to both of these, and it should also help later on with our video games that we'll be playing as well. Okay, so if you have a brand new computer that you've just built, this is going to look a little bit different. So I have Linux Mint on this hard drive. It's an SSD as well. I can install it alongside this if I wanted to. So If, say, I have Windows 10 or 11 and I want to do something what's called a dual boot, this is the option that I would do here. I could also erase this entire disk and just have Ubuntu on it, so I won't have any of my other things installed already on this computer, which I'm going to go ahead and do. I don't have anything special saved, but if there's anything at all on your existing disk that you might at some later point in your life need to go back and get, I highly suggest doing the install alongside whatever other operating system that you have. And then we're going to go ahead and create our account name. So Nick the Fist, and then go ahead and choose your password. And then go ahead and select which time zone you're in. And then we're going to just go ahead and press install. Now, this is probably going to take a little bit, depending on the age of your computer. Older systems, if you have an older system that you've built, compiled parts from eons ago, this is definitely going to take longer. Ubuntu is relatively light, at least compared to Windows, but we're going to just let this do its thing, and we'll come back to it in a little bit. All right, I went and ran a load of dishes, came back, and now here we are, and we can just go ahead and press restart now, and then our computer will go ahead and finish setting itself up now that we have Ubuntu installed on it. So if you're sitting here wondering why it is not loading, I don't have a cursor, but maybe I can point this out with graphics afterwards. But there is this thing that says, please remove the installation medium, and then press enter. So what we're going to do is just go ahead and pull our flash drive out. Boink. And then we can go ahead and press enter on our keyboard. Okay, here we are in our new Ubuntu environment, or our Ubuntu operating system. If you have never seen this before, aren't used to using Ubuntu, it looks maybe kind of scary. So I'm going to turn my head off so we can see everything here. Okay, so over here on our desktop, we have some different things. We can go ahead and check out what the heck's going on with the latest release notes if we want. I don't really care. I don't want Ubuntu Pro. I'm going to say no to sharing my system's data. And then we're going to go ahead and open up our App Center. And so this is where we're going to be able to download apps the easiest. So the first thing we want to find is Steam, because we are going to be doing Steam games. We can see that right here at the top. We're going to go ahead and press install, and then you'll have to enter your password. Now, while we wait for Steam to install, let's take a peek around our desktop. You have your App Store, Firefox for internet, and file folder all over here on the side that you can feel free to click on and explore. I like to think of Ubuntu as more similar to Mac OS and its layout. You have your file folder. If you're familiar with Apple's OS, then you probably recognize a similar layout to the screen right here. If you are looking for all of your applications in more of a start menu type of button, we can go down here to the bottom left-hand corner to this icon here. If you hover over it, it'll say Show Apps down here in the bottom left-hand corner of the screen. Then you can go ahead and pull up all the applications that you currently have downloaded on your computer. If you want to close back out, you just need to press the Show Apps button again. Now if we go back to our App Store, we can see that Steam is fully installed, and we can press Open. Since this is the first time opening Steam on this computer, it may take several moments for Steam to decide to get its button gear, but eventually it should pop up. Okay, so now that Steam has opened, if you don't have a Steam account, you can go ahead and create your own Steam account. I have a Steam account. I'm going to go ahead and get myself logged in. Okay, and then we've got our typical Steam environment. I'm going to go up here and we're just going to download Kingdom Come Deliverance to this computer because that seems to be something that runs pretty easily on Linux environments. Go ahead and select where it's going to be installed, which in this case we only have the one disk, so we're going to just go ahead and press install. And we will come back to this in a little bit once it finishes installing itself. All right, so now while we're waiting on that, we can go ahead and make sure that we have our drivers updated. So the easiest way that I've found to do this is to just go down here to our Show Apps button, and then we can go to Additional Drivers. And so what this is going to do is this is going to pull any drivers that we don't have for our system that we can go ahead and get updated. So we click on this software and updates will pop up. You can see here we don't actually need any additional drivers now at this time, but if we did, there would be items listed and we could click apply changes. So another thing that we can do to make sure that our system is fully upgraded and ready to play some games on is actually open up our terminal if you're worried about, for some reason, that not pulling everything. So if we go back down here to our Show Apps button once again, we go over here and we press this button called Terminal. Now this might look scary, and I promise it's not as scary as it looks. The first thing we want to do is make sure that we have everything updated, and then we can upgrade it second. So we're going to type something in here on the screen. It's going to be sudo apt update, and then we're going to press enter. So it's going to ask for our password. This is completely fine. Go ahead and enter your password. It might not look like your password typed on screen. It did. Just go ahead and press enter. And then it's going to pull a bunch of data from the internet to make sure that we have everything updated. So now mine does say all packages are up to date, but on the off chance that it didn't, we can then go sudo apt upgrade, and what this is going to do is going to take anything that hasn't been upgraded already, and it's actually going to upgrade it to that newest system. So we would push enter, and normally it would ask, do you want to allocate however many megabytes to upgrades, and you would go ahead and press Y for yes. We unfortunately don't have any at the moment, but then you would just press enter. So that would go ahead and upgrade anything in the background that we might not be aware of that we might need. For now, we're just going to go ahead and exit out of here. And then we can go ahead onto our next step here. Now that we have our Linux machine fully updated, let's go ahead and get a game going. So if we go back down here to our corner where it says Show Apps, we can go ahead and click on that. And then we can go to Steam. We're going to be playing Kingdom Come Deliverance because that's the game that we downloaded earlier. And if we go ahead and click play, it should load momentarily. And then we have our game all ready and good to go that we can go ahead and jump in and play to our heart's content. And you can see here it is functioning as how this game normally functions. Okay, so now let's say you need to know if a game that you're looking at on the Steam store will actually run on Linux, and you have some questions. So let's take a peek here at a few different games. So the easiest thing that I normally do is I will actually look for the Steam symbol down here in this corner. It looks like one of my friends actually plays this, RimWorld. So another thing that you can do is if we go over here to, say, a different game. So if we go ahead and we scroll down, ignoring that we already see the Steam icon here next to Apple's and the Windows icon, if you come down here where it says Steam Deck compatibility, and if it says verified, it should work absolutely fine on your Linux PC. All right, and now, like, say if we go over here to Marvel Rivals, which is a battle royale style game, which you would imagine probably shouldn't work on Linux devices. However, it does. If you scroll down, you'll see it says the Steam Deck compatibility is playable. That normally means that it will run on Linux. It might be slightly choppy. When I did this on Linux Mint, it ran completely fine. And honestly, I think the easiest way to find games that run fine on Linux is just to come here to the Steam page. And I'll put this down in the link in the YouTube description, but it's literally just store.steampower.com/Linux. And it gives us all the games that work fine on SteamOS and on Linux operating systems. So, happy scrolling. Hopefully, for those of you who might be thinking about starting some gaming on Ubuntu, this might actually act as like a little bit of a quick start guide for you. Also, please make sure to subscribe. Help me hit my October subscription goal of 100 over here on YouTube. And help me even get a little bit closer to my stretch goal of 150. Make sure to check back Monday through Friday as I do tech news for my car, where I cover just some interesting tech headlines. Also, make sure to tune back in here in a few weeks as I'm going to be comparing Linux Mint to Ubuntu in multiple gaming benchmarks. Hope to see you then.